All right, guys, welcome back to another Doom of Fools podcast episode. Today, I'm super excited. We get to talk to one of the pioneers of CEH. In my opinion, probably one of the spiciest brewers, Alex, better known as Higher. What's going on, Alex? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, my guy? How you doing, dude?
Man, I'm so good. It's everything's up and up right now. I'm having so much fun doing this podcast. But no one wants to hear me talk. How have you been doing, man? I haven't really seen you a lot. Are you kind of in the background a little bit? How have you been?
Oh man, I think the biggest thing is balancing life, and for people, if you don't know who I am, that it makes sense. The the I am 37. Oh my God, I'm 37, and I work full time. I go to school full time in grad school.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, getting my master's in social work. Oh man, so excited.
Dope.
Um, yeah, man, trying to make a difference in the world. Um,
Hell yeah.
I have I'm married. I have a son. And I do like magic content creation on the side. So like life's like really busy. Prior in like 2020, the only thing I was doing was I was just at home. Like, so, like I was working from home. So a lot of my time and like my mental energy just went into magic. So like
Mm.
the transition out of COVID into like really throwing myself into life
Mhm.
has had me make balance, right? Make balancing changes. And so magic has like, it's still a big part of my life, but it's not as big a piece of the pie in terms of my time.
Okay. All right. I definitely respect it, man. You're gonna do big things in the world. You are one of my favorite creators. You're one of the ones that got me into CDH itself. I saw a couple, and I'm like, "What is this? What is this Kennen thing? What is going on?" That's his Oracle. You're one of the guys that got me over that hump. So let's get into it. Do people don't know who you are? Like, how and when did you start playing Magic? And we'll get into CDH a little later. Maybe you could tell us the beginnings of CDH. But when did you start playing Magic, man?
Yeah, so I started playing Magic in 2009. Oh my gosh. With Shards of Alara block.
Okay.
And yeah, so like the big reason why I got into Magic is my best friends play Magic,
Mhm.
and I lived with them here in San Diego, and they moved back to Santa Barbara, and that's where I went to high school.
Cool.
And when they went back to Santa Barbara, they were like, "Oh yeah, Alex, by the way, we're getting into Magic." And I was like, "What? What?" Because before we're like Yu-Gi-Oh heads. We used to play like Yu-Gi-Oh all the time.
Oh yeah.
And shout out to Exodia, favorite deck.
Exodia. Oh hell yeah, man.
Yeah, oh man, competitive Exodia was awesome. Anyways, so they got into Magic, and like a moth to a flame, I jumped headfirst into Magic. I went into the nearest LGS, which at the time was Crazy Fred's here in San Diego. Shout out to them. They're no longer open, but they were awesome. And Fred, the owner of Crazy Fred's, was like, "Hey, what's your name?" I was like, "Hi, I'm Alex. I want to get really good at Magic really, really fast because my friends are getting into it. They live in Santa Barbara, and I just want to crush their face." And
Well, well,
Fred
Fred
was
is
down.
me.
Fred was crazy. Fred was a mad scientist, man. He just yeah, he was a really cool guy.
Shout out to Fred.
And so shout out to Fred. So Fred got me into he asked me like what do you want to what style of magic do you want to play? Like do you want to play, are you like a really tricky player? Do you like tricking your opponents, or do you like overwhelming them with just like raw power, or do you what do you like to do? And I was like, I like the overpowering them thing. And he was like, all right, your color is green. You like green. And I was like, okay, that sounds sounds good to me, bro. And he put me in touch with elves. He gave me at the time in standard at the time, elves were very strong.
Huh.
And so okay, let me play elves. A new block a new block rotated in, and the block that rotated in was OG Zendikar. Um, and I don't know if you're familiar with OG Zendikar. OG Zendikar has some crazy stuff in it. Primeval Titan is one of them. But yeah, Primeval Titan, that's when the fetch lands, like some of the fetch lands got introduced. The big thing though is that in that block, in the Zendikar block, there was Rise of the Eldrazi, which was Emrakul, like Emmy
Yeah.
in full glory, right?
Come on. I love that card.
Right.
Is it Eldrazi?
Oh my gosh, yes. Rise of Eldrazi. Listen,
Oh,
the whole, not only is that card good, but like the set was like nuts. Like the set was super crazy. And the funny thing is that it worked well with elves because elves like to ramp. And turns out you just need to ramp 4 mana. That's all you needed to do because you played a cutesy elf that said, pay 1 green, put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. And listen, you were living your elvish piper dreams. The second I learned I could put Emrakul straight into play without casting it,
oh yeah.
on my heart, everything changed. I was like, oh, okay, awesome. At the time, there was only one way to get rid of Emrakul, and that was to Oblivion Ring it. And Oblivion Ring was really popular at the time in that standard. So that was the only way you could get rid of it because it was an enchantment that like targeted when it entered the battlefield. So it was like this really like tricky like thing. Anyways, so I got really into Magic because I could do this broken thing and it was really consistent, and I loved it. And I played Magic consistently until like 2013, 2014. And I stopped playing for a bit because all of my cards rotated out of standard. And and like I knew Legacy existed, but I didn't want to like invest into it and learn all these old cards and with these old art. I was so silly. I should have, if I dived headfirst into it at that time, I could have had like, play sets of dual lands. Cause at the time dual lands were like not expensive at all. It's just
Commander players.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The price up of my god.
Yeah.
Volcanic Island.
Yeah. It was like so, oh man. Anyway, so I stopped playing for like 2 or 3 years. And in 2016, I got back into it and we moved to this place. It happened to be next to Crazy Fred's. And I walked past it a few times and it just like, I got that itch. Well, let me see what's happening in Magic nowadays. And I remember I drafted a couple times and I played Sand a couple times and asked Fred, like, hey, is there another format I could play that could use some of these cards I have just chilling in storage? And he said, you should try Commander. And, oh, okay, that sounds, okay, sure, I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. What are the rules? You pick a Commander, you get 99 other cards that can't be the same outside of basic lands. Oh, okay. So, okay, 1 of each. So I don't have to have playsets anymore. Exactly. You don't have to have playsets. Okay, that sounds great.
Perfect.
Right. And so I was just making these silly wonky decks that didn't do anything. They were all horrible because I didn't understand how the format really worked. And one day I sit down and there's a group of guys playing Magic, and one guy pulls out a deck and he gives it to me. Hey, play this deck. You might like it. It's green. Oh, sure. I'll give it a try. And it's Sylvala, Heart of the Wilds.
Oh yeah, baby girl.
And I cast my Commander, and I think I casted Phyrexian Soulgorger, which is for 3. It's an 8/8 for 3. And I casted it, and I just looked at the guy who gave me the deck, and do I just tap Sylvala for 8 now? He looks at me, yep, you sure do. And right before he said, you sure do, he said, make sure you draw a card. I was like, you get to draw a card as well? Oh, this card is crazy. And he's like, yeah, let's see, what can you do with 8 mana? And I look at my hand and I'm like, all right, well, let me play my land for a turn. I'm gonna cast this Tooth and Nail Entwined. Turn turn 3. It's yeah, that checks out. It's just yeah, good game.
GG's.
And it sparked something in me. Oh man, I want to play CDH. Like this is, or at the time I wasn't CDH. I want to play more high powered commander. I really like the way this feels, and so I bought Silvala that day, and I didn't know what to put in it because I didn't know where to find deck lists at the time. And so I didn't even know that Silvala was a deck like that people knew. I just knew that this guy had it and I could build something similar. So I made my own version that was like, it had Terracodon because I love Terracodon. It had Acidic Slime. It had Temur Sabertooth. It had ways to, it didn't have ways to make infinite mana, but it had ways to make a lot of mana.
Yeah. 800 mana is infinite.
Right. Like, because I didn't have it. I don't know I don't think at the time I had anything that untapped Silvala that was good. It was just, it was like a one-time effect. Because I didn't know how to untap Silvala all the time. And then I learned about Silvala Brostorm. And I lost my mind because when I read the deck, I was like, oh, you can just do this. Oh my God, this is broken. How does anyone even stop this? Why is not everybody just doing this? This seems like the best thing at the time. And if you played in 2016, like the decks that were strong, like the really, really strong CDH decks were not turbo decks. They were all like Staxy decks or food chain decks, but they weren't going incredibly fast. It was hard to go incredibly fast. At least in the metas that I was playing in. I wasn't playing on Discord, so I only had the San Diego meta to go off of. And so I fell in love with doing the green thing and making big mana and doing big mana stuff. And I just kept doing that. And I went to like the friends that got me into Magic, they also got into Commander, and we would play like these big 6 or 7 person pods, which if you've ever done that is crazy.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't do it. No, it was a lot of fun though, because we were all doing the same thing, and it was just like play one big game of Magic and enjoy yourselves, have a good time. And
I just have ADHD.
I've told, huh?
I just have ADHD, so I'm like, okay, pass the turn. Who wants to play Uno? Till it gets back to my turn.
Yeah, no, there's a bit of that. There was a bit of that. All right, pass the turn. I'm gonna have like 9 pieces of pizza.
Yep.
Yeah. So the story that I tell people about how my like love for Magic became like a minor obsession is during the 7-man pod, I'm playing Silvala. Everyone goes land pass, turn 1. Turn 2, my turn 1 was land Dork pass, and then my turn 2 was land Silvala pass. And everyone kind of looks at me like, okay, like he had game actions on turn 1 and turn 2. That's unusual for this group, right? This group is usually turn 3, like a monolith, for a 3-mana rock or something, but never a turn 1 play into a turn 2 play. That's weird. And so I go turn 1, Dork, turn 2, land Silvala. During turn 3, I play land, cast Phyrexian Dreadnought. And everybody looks at me like, okay, that's a 12/12. It's turn 3. And I just tell them, hey, it's going to die immediately. And they're like, why do you even play it? I'm like, this is the card that you play in Silvala. And everyone's like, no one sees it yet because they just think it's going to die and that's it. And so I put it on the battlefield. I'm like, all right, I have 2 ETBs. First ETB, I'm going to draw a card. And everyone goes, okay, fine. All right. In response to the second ETB, I'm going to tap Silvala for 12 mana. And everyone goes, no.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're like, okay. Yeah. And so they immediately freak out because Silvala has made 12 mana. They're like, okay, And then I'm like, okay, now Phyrexian Dreadnought's gonna die. And like before Phyrexian Dreadnought even dies, they like throw a kill spell onto Saval. All right, cool. Saval is dead. I don't care. I'm gonna recast her anyways.
Yeah.
I use the 12 mana and I cast Lurking Predators into a 7-man pod. I cast Lurking Predators.
My God.
And my opponents, they all collectively go, guys, we have to kill higher. We have to kill him now. He cannot be alive. Alex has to die. Like he cannot be alive. And I was like, this is crazy. I recast the ball, I passed the turn. And like that game, I got really far ahead. I didn't win that game. You would think I might win that game. I didn't win that game because it's 7 opponents, single like you can't win 6v1s.
Well, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you
bro.
Yeah, like it doesn't even matter how many things you have. Like yeah, you only have 100 cards. So that game was the game though. That was the game that got me into it because as exciting as that turn 3 play was, later down the game, there's a guy, his name's Alan, one of the best Magic players I know that doesn't play CDH really, but he's just he's a very awesome brewer. He had Nekusar and he played Force Fruition.
Okay.
And do you know what Force Fruition does?
I do not. Please, lightning.
Force Fruition is it's an enchantment that says whenever an opponent casts a spell, they draw 7 cards.
Oh, I know that card. That's my buddy's Casual Kenrith deck.
Yeah, but with Nekusar, anytime you draw a card, you lose a life.
And it's not a May ability.
So it's not a May ability. You're drawing 7 cards.
Yeah, Soul Ring, draw 7.
Yeah, and so he combined that with I think it's Eye of the Storm, where whenever anyone casts a spell, they cast every other spell, something like that. Is it Knowledge Pool? Knowledge Pool. They cast every other spell that's been cast before. So like what would happen is that someone would cast a spell and then it would trigger this other card and they would have to cast 9 other spells, drawing themselves to death. Like it was this gnarly group hug.
Fun. Sounds like a blast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah. So Alan made that. And so it showed me that you can be really creative in Commander in a way that I had never seen because I didn't play with these guys normally. And I was like, okay, I want to make decks. I want to brew. I want to brew things like this. These random, really cool things that you can do, things that make you feel a certain way. And it made me understand that I like brewing for an experience versus brewing for competitive sake. Yeah. Like I want to feel a specific feeling from the deck when you're playing it.
Yeah, your Moxfield says that. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Your most user.
Brew for
Genrith. Yeah, some old Narset.
Yeah. Yeah, you brew for an experience. And I encourage people when they're if they're getting into Magic, specifically if they're trying to get into CDH or even just Commander, like you're the one that has to play the deck, right? Sure, there are really powerful decks, and there's a lot of people that will just try to pick up the most powerful deck because it's the most powerful deck and not have any fun and then right, Blue Farm, right? But I never tell anyone to play Blue Farm.
Me neither.
Because
I'm an opponent of that. I hate Blue Farm. Pennies are like, hey, we're November event. I'm gonna build Blue Farm. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna have fun.
You're not. Yeah. Blue Farm. Well, Blue Farm isn't boring for players new to CDH because it's so awesome to get all these cool resources. But if you played CDH for longer than like a year, Blue Farm can become
not boring.
Yeah, yeah. Winning's not boring, but how you win can be boring.
Right. Correct.
Right. Yeah. So I always tell people brew the decks that you want to play the way you like to play Magic, and you might find that you end up in a camp that you didn't think you were going to be. So me, I'm a big Timmy player. I love giant spells for free.
Yeah. Like
any card that says, yeah, right. Like you can put this giant creature in for nothing. Like sign me up, bro. I'm down.
My favorite card.
Every deck. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Huh. No, go ahead. What's your favorite card?
Favorite card right now is Sneak Attack. It is the
Bro,
most
card's so good.
underrated.
Yeah.
I have a Thrasios Frog CVH deck that I'm about to take to SCG Con, and it's a homebrew. It's about 15 cards off what the normal deck is, and it's all about sneak attack. So the name of the deck is Red Kinnan. And it's like activate Kinnan to get these crazy Atali things, or an exclamation, or sneak attack, and then just sneak attack this Tide Spout or Hullbreaker, and for 1 mana, oh, I can do my Dockside Loop with sneak attack. Like, effects like that are so good. I'm not putting spells in the stack. I am activating abilities that no one's really running Trick Pine. I love like Emoti, Cascade. I love big dumb creatures for free. That is my favorite thing in Magic. But go ahead, sorry, you're the professional.
No, absolutely. No, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
We
Give
gotta
me
play
the
the game
dumb
again.
free stuff.
We got to
Yeah.
place the salt table.
Yeah. Like it got so it became a problem because I realized that I liked doing this, and finding decks that could handle that play style was all I became obsessed with. So I made a bunch of decks that did a bunch of wild things, where it was like, okay, I want to get out all these free creatures. So I played like when Kodama got printed. Oh man, I was all about it. Put Kodama with Timna. Let's put Razaketh and Protein Hulk in there. Let's add all these big dumb creatures. Let's, oh, Crick, I can play all of the big block creatures. Give it to me. Yes, I want it. I want it. I want all of it. Oh, Joda allows me to cast anything for 5 for Wooburg. I'm with you. Like, give it to me. Like, I was on it.
Give it to
and
me.
then give it to me. And then so a lot of people know me for playing Kinnan. But Kenrith was my first deck I brewed that was 5 colors, and I think was like an actual CDH deck.
Mhm.
Savala Heart of the Wild was my first CDH deck in terms of a deck that I learned how to play CDH on, and was like it is my favorite deck because of nostalgia. But
Right.
Kenrith was my favorite deck in terms of competition. It was a deck that I knew inside and out, that I wrote lines for, that I really like cut my teeth on.
Yeah, look at
and,
it right now.
and
It's really good.
yeah, the list now is, and it's kind of in a wild place right now. But it was
in a good spot though. The creature combos are
Kenrith
is where you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And so I played a lot of Kenrith for like COVID, like from like literally, 2019 to 2021. I was playing Kenrith. I probably have like, I don't know, like 2,000 or 3,000 games on Kenrith.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a lot. I was playing it every day, nonstop. I was playing Magic nonstop for a while. And so with Kenrith being such a big thing, it gave me a strong understanding of mechanics of, reanimation effects and all of the different things you can do with Kenrith. You dip your toes into stacks, you dip your toes into turbo, you dip your toes into all of these mid-range things.
Right.
And then Kinnan came out, and I wasn't even on it. I wasn't even like remotely interested in Kinnan. I had, I swear to God, and I think that's the one thing about like Commander player. I don't know, maybe just with Magic players. It's Commander players. When a new card comes out, how do we break it in Commander? Like that's a new legendary creature. We gotta break it, guys. And I wasn't even high on Kinnan. I just thought, okay, this is a cool deck. There's people that were making turbo lists on Kinnan. They were really, really strong. And there was this guy from a CDH server that doesn't exist anymore. It was called the CDH Nexus. And a moderator from that server, his name was Yankee. He made a version of the list that used Eldrazi's, and it was called Titanfall. And I saw that, and I was like, that is way more of my style. Like you play all the Eldrazi, and he's like, yeah, man, I play all the Eldrazi, bro. I was like, is there like, you have like Ulamog and Kozilek? He's like, yeah, man, Eldrazi are crazy, bro. And I was like, I want to do that, but I don't want to do Eldrazi because I want to have my deck be I want like strong enter the battlefield effects or just effects that affect the board immediately. Like it has an immediate presence the second it hits the battlefield.
Void widower.
And yeah, Void Winnower is a good example of this, right? Like I want Void Winnower. I want I was like, oh, Nyxwim Ancient seems really good. Yeah.
As a whole,
Like right, like Nezahal. I want Consecrated Sphinx. I want like these big creatures that like are just massive. They're giant dudes that can beat you down. Terracodon, right? And for it was literally my dream because my commander makes a ton of mana. It also is a sink for the mana. It also goes infinite with one card. Like that's really cool. I like that. I want all of these things. And I started playing the list, and there's a couple people that don't get recognized for mid-range Kinnan that they do get recognized because of who they are now, but the humble beginnings of like mid-range Kinnan. So I was really close with Comedian when I brewed Kinnan. And I actually I remember I have a link where I sent him the list on Tapped Out. And I was like, bro, this list is crazy. And his response was, man, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot of things in this list, dude. Like this is kind of crazy, man. I was like, bro, it's so good. It's so much fun. And then like Ashani from Playing with Power, this other guy named Timmy T1000, they all just gave me like, hey, here, you should do this. You should do this. You should do this. Like really focus on the game plan. Cause they all agreed that the deck was doing something, but it wasn't fine-tuned yet. Right. And so I just kept playing it nonstop. And then I started getting players into the deck who were better than me, right? Who were like actually grinding tournaments. And in their hands, the deck just went bananas, man. Like it just got like really, really popular. And all of a sudden it was like getting, 40 entries into 70-person like tournaments and I was like, this is cool. Like everyone is experiencing the thing I wanted them to experience, which I think is the most important thing, right? Like brew what you want to feel. And that feeling felt really good for a long time. And then now we're in like this weird place in CDH where the decks that are doing really, really good only do really, really good in their bubbles, and then they get introduced into other metas where they have more answers. So like I live in California, and California is all like turbo metas.
Rogside.
And Rogside for sure. Rogside is a huge one. Not only is Rogside like a big thing here, but it's also we have really good Rogside pilots that play. Yeah. So Kinnan gets entered into a lot of tournaments, but not Kinnan's a complicated deck. You have to if you're really confident in your decisions, and you can get really punished if you play the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like a play pattern that people who are inexperienced with, here's your Kinnan touch for the day. If your opening hand has a land, Llanowar Elf, land, Felwar Stone, Bloom Tender. Trying to think. What are your throwaway cards? Let's say a Trinisphere and Trinisphere and a random mana rock. Maybe it's a Green Sun Zenith. Sure, that's a random card. That doesn't matter. Okay. What do you think is the way you play this hand?
I don't even know. The turn. I don't know. You're the Kinnan guy. I have no clue.
Right. So a lot of people within this hand, they're thinking, I'm going to play my mana. I'm going to play all of my mana as fast as possible. So I'm going to go land, Mana Dork, pass, turn 2, maybe land, Kinnan, Bloom Tender, because you can tap the Dork for 2, or maybe land, Kinnan, tap the Llanowar Elf for the Mana Rock, tap the Mana Rock for Bloom Tender, pass.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, I'm going land Dork, pass. I'm doing that same play pattern. And then I'm going land Trinisphere. And the reason why I'm doing right? The reason why I'm doing this is because now I can slow down my opponents who might have dependent that on that turn 2 to do actual game actions. And if I go land, land, Kinnan, Rock, Bloom Tender, I'm now the biggest threat. And so now my opponents are really going to focus on me, right? They're going to focus on trying to mow down my board, right? They're like, oh, okay, I've been waiting for this. I have this Bowmaster in my hand. But slowing everybody down changes the dynamic a bit. Now they're focused on the Trinisphere, right? Guys, we got to get rid of the Trinisphere. We got to figure out what we're going to do against Trinisphere because I don't have enough mana to cast any spells. And now I can do the next turn, if I have another land, it's like land, cast, Kinnan, pass. Turn after that, I can start developing my board. I'm going to develop my board faster because I have more mana. And it becomes like it's those types of plays that can really make or break your ability to play Kinnan. And a lot of players just make those like little mistakes and get blown out, and that's like where we are right now. So, and a lot of the big proponents of Kinnan, when they take Kinnan to a tournament, they usually win or at least top 4.
Right.
And that's because it's a lot of pilot errors that get people trouble.
Yeah, I'm glad you went on the Kinnan tangent because I just talked to Wounded about Kinnan, and in a couple of days I'm talking to Tyler about the birth of Kinnan. So it's really a hot topic.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
you're one of the Kinnan guys, so we can all blame you for Kinnan going crazy
for sure.
Because Kinnan right now in tournaments is the second most popular deck. It's not the second deck right now, like performing wise.
It's not the second most winningest deck, for sure.
People are still on because I was with you when it first came out. I was on Tethers Thrasios, and I'm like, oh sweet, it's a combo for Thrasios. And then I don't know what happened, but then it started becoming a deck. And then it started winning because it was fine, right? It's like, oh, you're playing Kinnan, that's funny, whatever, big creatures. And then, well, like a year and a half ago, it was like Kinnan shot up to the second best deck. And that deck is so insane. And people say Nadu's better, but I'll never trust a Kinnan player. That card is brilliant.
No. That card is brilliant. I think the biggest difference between Nadu and Kinnan is Nadu doesn't draw cards. It puts cards into places. It puts cards in your hand or it puts cards on the battlefield. And that's an important distinction.
Well, and also I think when Nadu explodes out of nowhere and kind of does the Nadu thing. With Kinnan is you kind of see it, or it's just doing its mid-range thing, and then one activation that can change a whole. So they have a little bit of similarities there. But Nadu, the deck doesn't do anything without Nadu. Kinnan's fine, you have the Draenei. I don't care. I'll just hard cast this Consecrated Sphinx.
Yeah, I'm still on the Mana Ramp plan.
Yeah. Mana Rocks are good.
Yeah. Mana Rocks are good, right? I also, to be fair, people haven't figured out how to deal with Nadu yet. Right,
right.
Okay, because it doesn't get punished with card draw things. It doesn't get punished by there's a ton of things it doesn't get punished by yet.
Well, no,
and the things that
anymore, and it's guys, we need to run. This is a problem. But like what Max P was saying, what's the scariest deck right now besides Blue Farm? Roxai don't give a fuck about removal. So there's this, we're going into this season where there's 4 decks, maybe 5, and then everybody else, and Nadu's right there at 4. So we gotta just learn how
I think
Kirkashima, right? When that deck came out on it was oh my god, this is the most cancer thing to ever play against. And then it fell off the face of earth for a year and a half. And then now it's here and there, right? So it's once the meta adjusts, that's why Blue Farm is so good. It's there is no adjusting to Blue Farm. They're adjusting to you, right? They're playing the best cards, even the better pilots, With Nadu and Kinnan, it's hey, let's hold up, let's hold up Culling Ritual or a Toxic Deluge. Kinnan's I'm out over the
Toxic Deluge. you know what the worst card to get hit with in Kinnan is? Culling Ritual. Listen.
Yep. The game's over. All right, guys. Good game.
Oh my god.
I'll be back next time. I'm out of here,
dude. Culling Ritual will make me just the saddest person.
It's like a dog fight against a Tibet. It's like, all right, guys, they're
Yeah.
popping because of me. My count was 7. What was y'all's count? My
Yeah, right. Yeah, my guy,
my fault, guys.
Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
fought wrong.
Right now, the biggest, the worst beat I've ever gotten in Kennen was during a tournament. Uh, I I had done the Seedborn thing, right?
Mhm.
I have Seedborn. I have the mana to activate Kinnan. I have a Force of Will in hand. Like I'm feeling
Oh, you're ready.
real high right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, bro.
That lady
Like
said,
I'm ready to go.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so first activation, so I'm player 1. Player two's turn goes. In their ends have activate Kinnan. I hit Terrastodon. I hit player two's land, player four's land, and two of player four's lands, and I leave player three's lands alone because they only have a land and a rock or something like that. Like they don't have anything, and I'm like, all right, like they're already neutered. I just needed to slow you guys down. I think I got this in the bag. And God, player 3 goes. Player 3 untaps. They play a mana crypt and cast Culling Ritual, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. And I go to Force of Will, the Culling Ritual. Culling Ritual is going to make a ton of mana, by the way. And this player is playing Ikra
Okay.
something. Jund. They're playing Turbo Jund.
Eager.
And I'm like, guys, if he lands this Culling Ritual, like we will lose. There's no, we're all blown out. We have no mana. And he's just going to walk away. He's going to gain 1,000,000 life with Ikra, and he's just going to walk away with the game. And so I put my Force Will on the stack, and like, but we're just going to dart into you because you have Seaborn Muse. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not dying right now. Like, you'll die in a few turns, sure, but you have time to stop me. And they're like, no, we don't, you blew up my lands. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, bro. So put my Force Will on the stack. The player 4, who has no lands, or he has like 1 land and a rock, he hits my Force Will with a counter spell. And I'm like, dude, oh my God.
We're dead.
All right, we're dead. All right, cool. All of our stuff gets blown up. He at the end of that phase, he Chain of Vapors my Terrastodon. And I'm like, why? Why are you chain? Well, because you can't have a creature. I'm like, but you understand, like, if you Chain of Vapor my creature, my Terrastodon, I can't punish the Jund player. I can't attack him and get his life total low. Like I said, he has Ikra. He's gonna gain 1,000,000 life and ad nauseum from like 1,000 and just pull his whole deck into his hand.
Oh yeah.
He's like, no, man, the Terrastodon's just gotta go. It could hit me. I'm not gonna. You can't have it. I'm like, all right, bro. So the guy playing Ikra, he ends up at 98 life, I think, 98 life, and casts a Nas from 98 life. He had like, I don't know, 50 cards in his deck. He just pulls his whole deck into his hand.
Yep. Jeez.
And he didn't even, I think he was still at like 60 life or something like that. And and this is over webcam, so I can't like look at the guy, player 4, in the face. But I just want to be like, I told you exactly what was gonna happen. And he was like, no, man, if you had Terrastodon, you couldn't have like affected his life. And I was like, he wouldn't have gotten his whole deck in his hand at least. And then after the game, he like, oh man, he was super upset. And I was like, sometimes as an internal conversation with myself, sometimes you have to realize that people hold dear to certain like playing philosophies.
Mm-hmm.
So losing their lands might be a really big faux pas in their play group.
Mm-hmm.
And so recognizing like, oh wow, I hit your land and you aren't considering this a CDH game, you're considering this just another Magic game with your friends.
Yeah, that's ED.
And
I don't like your commander.
Right.
It beat me last game, and you have a 9/9, so I'm getting rid of it. It's like, what? That makes no sense. Guy is winning the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious. I just wanted to get into. It's already been 40 minutes. This is awesome. I wanted to get into the beginning of CDH. This is my recollection and what everyone told me. You're one of the front runners to really start it and get on the map. Were you, or can you tell me the beginning of CEDH?
the beginning of CDH back in the day. So gather around, children. So the beginning of CDH, was before me.
Was it?
Um,
Okay.
oh yeah, for sure. I came into the scene. I started playing because I remember I got out of Magic in 2013,
Mhm.
2014, and I got back into it in 2016. Yeah, and so by the time I got back into it, they had already released the first commander sets, like
Right.
the
Right.
first commanders, right? And so
I mean,
those already existed.
mhm.
So like Thrasios, Tymna, those decks, all those decks already existed.
God.
And the people who were like you could consider like the old guard, um, were like people like Lurker and this guy named Shaper. I would say Timmy T1000. Like these people like really like helped push the format forward.
Mhm.
They were like they were on every major list. So if you were playing CDH at that time, those people were the people who were making a lot of the headway into what competitive Commander could look like.
Oh,
Because at the time, Commander wasn't supposed to be a competitive format, so there wasn't like a
right.
lot of people pushing the format,
Yeah,
right?
it was made
Um,
made for Sheldon Menery and his friends to drink wine and play Commander for a long time.
exactly. Like it was meant to
Yep.
be a long time and a good time, right?
Yeah.
And ASM made Savala Brostorm, and there was a few people who really like made what I think is like the foundations of the format. I was a person who always wanted to. I love getting good at things. That's like one of my favorite things to do. Learn a new hobby, try to get good at it. And with Commander, when I got into it, I was head over heels. Let's do this. And I was just really hungry, really hungry. Let me try to get better. Let me play with as many people as I can. Always be nice. That's my one thing that I always try to tell content creators or people who are interested in making content for Magic. Be nice. Just be nice and ask a lot of questions. And I guarantee you people will want to work with you.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's all I did. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna be nice to everybody and learn the game as best I can from the people who are better than me at Magic. And once I got into the mindset of I want to brew, I really enjoy brewing decks. I think that's what a lot of for me that's what changed. I was a part of a lot of different groups that were trying to push the format forward. So like I was on the CDH deck list, reviewers, people. I was one of those guys for a bit.
Playing power, right?
I was like, I'm on Playing with Power now.
Yeah.
But before Playing with Power, I was just a part of different like groups. Like there was a group called the Notion Thieves. Shout out to the Notion Thieves. Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Uh,
It's in my Grixis deck.
oh my God, yeah. So that group that they were I don't know if you watch the Mystic Remoras. They're on
No,
Twitch.
I'm fairly new. I'm 2 or 3 years in.
Uh,
I just playing with power,
okay.
play to win is where I've kind of started.
Oh, sure. Okay. So like, so the Mystic Remoras are a group on Twitch. I don't know if they still stream. I haven't seen them. Maybe it might be me actually. Might be the problem. Um, but they were part of the Notion Thieves. We had Sheldon Menery on our stream. They were really 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 cool guys. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, but I was just always trying to be a part of things. There was like these leagues that were happening. The Mind Sculptors hosted a thing called the MLC, which was Major League Commander. That was really really cool because it was a draft, and you would draft decks off of the CDH decklist database, and play in like this 8-week long league. It was really fun. Um, and I was just like always a part of these things. I was always trying to be a part of this stuff and grow and become, more entwined with community. And then I I I I think it was a product of just being in a lot of stuff versus being an originator. I was just constantly in places and talking about magic with people.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and those people became content creators, right? Like comedian, I've been friends with him for a long time, and we've been brewing decks for a long, long time. Now he's like one of the best CEDH players like in the world.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I'm trying to get.
he,
Yep.
yeah, he's again super nice guy, super super nice.
Mhm.
And it's all about just like connecting with these people and just realizing that people burn out of Magic and people get into Magic all the time, and you don't even know like if you do any of this stuff consistently, just be consistent. Be consistent. Talk to people. You'll get somewhere. I 100% guarantee it will work for you. But being nice, don't say no to people in terms of like, someone asks you, "Hey, do you want to be on my stream?" Like, yeah, how many followers do you have shouldn't be a question. Like, I don't,
That,
like, I never question like, how many followers you got? Oh, I don't want to be on the small stream. What? No, like that. Whatever you need me to do to help.
that is so cool. Yeah. I do appreciate it a lot.
I appreciate you come asking me, bro.
No, I was like, there's no way this is higher. And then I asked you, I'm like, is this higher? You're like, that's me. I'm like, dude, come on. You're the top 5 people I wanted to do this with. Because, when I started, it was you, it was Ryan, it was Play to Win, it was a couple people. And I saw you everywhere. And I'm like, dude, like, what is this? What on earth? I don't remember. I think it was a regular casual, is I Hate Your Deck, I think. It was one of those casual channels.
Oh yeah,
And you brought
yeah.
CEH to it, and you were like, okay, I'm going to respond to this, and the stack is this high, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to kill you guys in response to anything. And I was like, what on earth is this? This isn't even the same. I have Dragon, right? I'm going crazy with a Hellkite, and you're over here. So the stack's this high, I'm responding to this, and then if you try to do this, I'm going to respond with 1,000,000 activations. I'm like, what is a stack? What is happening right now?
What's happening right now?
So that's why I thought you were one of the beginners, because in my career you have been. You've helped a lot, and I think you're an expert playing with Power Radio. And it's like, oh, there's Higher again with his random shenanigans and his stupid Kennen deck and stupid Rapidons.
Yeah.
I really think you helped like push it over, right? With COVID, like you said, the last 3 years, this format went from quarterly there was a big tournament to now there's probably 10 to 15 every single weekend. And I think you're one of the pioneers for that, because it's like, dude, look at this video, look at this guy, I'm just sitting at home and playing Spell Table. And then the world opened up, and I just feel like CDH is as big as it's ever been. It's not slowing down anytime soon. It's
No,
whole
definitely.
level now.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best things that I think from your perspective, it actually makes a lot more sense, because in 2021 probably was probably the height of me trying to get into the community and becoming like as involved as I can be. It's also right around the time that I joined Playing with Power, and I think once I joined them, a lot of doors kind of opened, because my name was being brought up more often because of just videos that I'm in, and because I'm trying to outreach the community. But more than anything, like my goal is community growth. That's just my goal. So I run a tournament called the Fishbowl Series, and
that you run. Fishbowl's awesome.
Yeah. So the Fishbowl, that is it's a partnership with a local game store called TC's Rocket. Shout out to them.
Yeah, I heard.
And
Ian talks about them all the time.
Yeah, cool. So in Southern California, there is no like big tournament scene. There isn't one that I know of. There might be one, and I'm just ignorant of it. And the tournaments that I did see, the biggest one was probably like Cassius Marsh has a tournament called Cash Cards with this store, Cash Cards Unlimited. And he would host these massive tournaments that he was giving away like a Time Twister and these Commander boxes, just all this stuff. But those tournaments were only getting like 100 people. And in my mind, I thought, how could a community so big in California get such a little turnout? Well, maybe it's a consistency thing. Maybe we have to be more consistent. So I created the Fishbowl with the intent of being community based and get people involved. The first fishbowl had 72 people. And I was like, great, that's awesome. We got a lot of people. It was really fun. People had a good time. Second fishbowl had 76 people. I was like, bro, this is awesome. This is super sick. And then the third fishbowl 3, had 126 people.
Wow.
And
It's
I was
really
like, wow, that's a big jump. And then the most recent fishbowl we had in July had 66 people, 166 people.
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's the largest of CDH event on the West Coast ever.
That's still, yeah, I live in Florida and I'm about to go to Georgia in November, and I think they're about to have 250 people there.
Yeah,
So I'm really,
huge, massive
you
tournament.
should come over. On the other side of the coast, but
Yeah, rain check.
Two,
And so
I have anything
right?
better to do.
Yeah, anything better to do. And in February we have the next fishbowl, which will be, I believe it's going to be 300 people.
Wow,
Yeah, it's madness.
that's thick. Okay,
but-
so you still are in the
yeah.
community and stuff. I didn't know that was you running the fishbowl. Okay.
Yeah. So I do try. It's just you'll see me in pockets. So like I was recently on. I don't know if you're familiar with Elder Dragon Hijinks.
Yep.
With yeah. So I was recently on an episode with them. I had I played CDH with the Command Zone for the only CDH episode. Those are things that I've done this year. And like we still make videos for the channel, but for Playing with Power. But overall, like the volume of content has decreased primarily just because I'm in school full time and life needs balance. But I do think that making the community grow so that there can be more players and more people who create content and curate content for CDH. I think that's like where I want to be. I want to make sure that people are able to do that.
Yeah, no, and you definitely done a good job. I wanted to end on, where do you think the CDH meta is now? Is it in a good place? And where do you think the future holds for us? So you're about to do a 300-person tournament. Is there 1,000-person CDH tournaments in the future? Like, where do you see CDH in a couple of years?
Well, that's a good question. Right now, Commander is in a transition period where we have a lot of people playing, and whenever have a lot of people doing any one thing, the call for regulation comes up because there's now too many people, too many eyes on a problem. And so like right now, if you were to compare CDH specifically to modern or standard events, right? Grand Prix or previous Grand Prix, Magicons now, they'll have like a modern tournament, and the modern tournament will be 500 players, which is that's 200 players more than the event that I'm going to have by myself, right? Like I don't have Wizards of the Coast supporting me for an event. It is just me running an event. Well, not just me by myself, but like I'm the tournament organizer for an event, and I don't have this giant backing source.
Right.
If Wizards of the Coast were like, hey, we want you to host a CDH event, we'll provide prize support, stuff like that. That an event of that magnitude, that's getting like 1,000 players, because now people are going to play who aren't necessarily CDH heads. They might be like commander players, right?
Yeah. But the issue with that is the whole proxy thing. Once you get CDH, Magic behind that, it's kind of like a SCG con. No more dual lands or guys cradles and stuff. But I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah. There might be the thing about the proxy thing is, if WotC wants to keep the money, because it's a money game, it's all about money. Like the game rules or whatever is one thing, but like money is what speaks here. So they probably are going to have to come up with a ruling that they can do that is specific to CDH that says, hey, you are allowed to use, these test cards that cost money, right? Like, oh, like we'll re-release Gaia's Cradles in the unlimited, whatever, the World Championship Edition. It's still going to be $30, $40,
Right, right.
but it's
But the
not
guy,
going to be thousands of dollars.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a functional Gaia's Cradle that you can use in your decks. That's not breaking any like rules about the reserve list, because that's like the big problem is the reserve list.
Mhm,
Um, right. So there's just like walking its way around it, around those like things to try and like keep the money in, keep the player base, you know, content and happy. And then now you're getting these massive tournaments that have a lot more people coming. That might be something that they could look at, but we have to do the work first to get Magic Commander specifically to the size that it needs to be to get that attention. And it's probably going to happen next year. Like
I
next
just
year, I already know.
we are on the track. We are on the fast
Yeah,
track, my boy. When I tell you you're doing a 300-person tournament, they did the one in Georgia I was talking about. It was 256 players, and it got sold out in 2 days. And then now they're giving more tickets, 30, 40. So that might be around 300.
mm,
Dude, we're in the middle of
yeah,
2024. So 2026
yeah,
is what does that look like, right? Is that going to be quarterly? Is that monthly? Because, 10 years ago, CDH, or say 5 years ago, people like Comedian and Root and Satellite, people like that do it for a living, that was non existent. But nowadays, comedians
yeah.
making a good living coaching and this and that, that was non existent 2, 3 years ago. So I can't imagine in 3, 4, 5 years from now, the sky is the limit for CDH players. And I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think in 3 or 4 or 5, in let's say if I were to look at the road 5 years from now, we're gonna call our shot. 5 years from now, Wizards of the Coast has adopted CDH or Commander as an official format,
Okay.
and okay, they've adopted the official format, and in doing so, has elected a rules committee that was of the rules committee that is currently existing. Um, or will exist in the near future. First thing they're going to say is proxies aren't going to be allowed. The rules committee is going to say, hey, we understand that you really don't like proxies. Instead of doing that, they're going to meet with the design team and say, hey, let's make a championship edition that uses the most recent, maybe Top Deck. Top Deck at that time is a conglomerate. I don't know, like, something's crazy. Utilize the deck and come up with a championship edition, call it whatever you want. And as a unique feature of this like edition, maybe people can use like tokens. Maybe it's like a token thing, and you can use these tokens as cards only in CDH, not legal in anything else. Maybe there's like an acorn attached to it or something like that. That's only legal in Commander.
That would be awesome. And you got to think, if you can look in 5 years ago in 2019, could you fathom what it is now? Could you fathom these 300-player tournaments?
No, never, ever, no.
Even when I started in 2022, I was like, "Hey guys, you want to play? I've CDH deck," and they're like, "Oh, get out of here! It's just combos, and you win turn two." 2 years later, I'm like, "What are y'all talking about?" Right? So 5 years ago, in 2019, y'all were not like, "Yeah, 300-player tournaments, it's gonna be awesome. Prize pool's gonna be 10, 15K." They're gonna be like, "Yeah, right." So I think what you're saying is closer than 5 years. I think 2 to 4 years. You can only ignore it so long. Like there's money to be had, and Wizards have done a really good job of grabbing as much money as they can.
As they possibly can. For me, the biggest concern is going to be how Wizards does it. I feel like if I was Wizards, what I would do, I would buy Top Deck. I'd buy Top Deck.
Oh wow!
I would.
Okay.
Because I want the software, right? I want to be able to, like, the software is really compatible for Commander. Yeah. So I want the software, I want the IP, and then I want the player base that supports Top Deck, which is all of the CDH basically. I instantly get a new group of people that are specifically really invested in buying high-end cards. They're really invested in that, right? Okay, then I create a product that's specifically geared towards them that costs, I don't know, $100. Kind of like what they did for like Magicon 30, where they had those like big those packs of cards that had like potential like lotuses and stuff like that in it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm making like a Command Legends pack that is all of the CDH staples. It's all CDH staples, cards that you only play in CDH.
That'd be so cool.
And I'm making them like, I don't know, $50 a pack. I'm putting 20 cards per thing in it, and I'm making them have a special symbol that only makes them legal in Commander, and that's it. And I'm releasing that. Then I make proxies illegal because I gave you all the cards that you needed that were really expensive. So now proxies are illegal, but you still have all the cards that you want. And then so that's what I do if I'm Wizards. And then as a player, by then, they by then everyone's playing CDH because the power level of each set is so grand that you have to play CDH, that there is no counter spell anymore. It's just like there's 10 free spells that every blue deck has that are just like, it's all free. Oh man, remember when they printed the Merfolk Spirit Guide that produces blue or green when you discard it?
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like
blue. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
You're a little wild there, Hire.
I don't think I am. I know in my heart that there is gonna be a time where they give blue more power. Like it's just gonna be a thing because they're gonna power up all the other colors.
Yeah,
and
green.
Like,
hello, help green, please first.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that green can't get any help because the second it gives it, I think they've tried too. They've tried to give green help, and every time it gets a little, just a little touch of help, it's too strong. It's like,
yeah, I know, but
like green's at a great place.
Yeah, well, look at white and card draw. Now white's probably the second best color for card draw. They can help green out. It's like, look at the flares, right? MH3. Oh, I got a free counterspell. Flare Duplication's insane. I got a free fork. I got a free Thoughtseize. I have a free Angel's Grace. Oh, I have a free Cultivate. Like, come on, guys. Like, come on. Seriously, Cultivate. They get 2 Demonic Tutors and I get a Cultivate. Awesome, great. This is Abby, but yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like who knows?
Yeah, also green. So we'll see because if there is any potential unbannings in the future, if any of those unbannings are green, all of those cards are just so powerful that they'll make
primetime goal every kid.
Oh man,
yeah. If fast spawn,
listen,
TL and Nadu and top decks now. No, I'm with you. That's a whole nother podcast.
If primetime ever gets unbanned, I never play in any of the deck other than Kitten ever again, because spinning into primetime is just, oh my god.
Well, you think I agree with you, right? But if primetime was printed right now, say the next set primetime, holy shit, this is a really good card. Damn, this is a CDH card. Hell yeah, it goes on my Kitten deck. Yeah, but then what, right? It's not an Oxide. It's not a Mystic Remora. It's not a, Orcish Bowmaster power level, but it does help green. I think that would be healthy if you unban Primetime. I don't think there's anything wrong with that card. Now, casual, EDH, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Right. Listen, you may not know this, but my favorite card in Magic is Deadeye Navigator.
I know. I see. I do my research a little bit. I see your little picture on Discord.
And soul bonding Deadeye Navigator to Primetime sounds delicious.
There's better things to do in Magic. I'm with you. Deadeye and Dockside wins the game.
That's why you run clones and Kinnan.
I'm with you. I just love that you think of Deadeye Navigator is gonna break Primetime. Hear me out. Gaius Cradle. What's that stupid when something comes in, untap it? That's a staple.
Oh, Amulet of Vigor?
Yeah, that's just a staple now. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But I think that's healthier for the format instead of the format being Nadus and Blue Farm and Roxai and Turn Order. tournament matters who wins the game. Like, I don't think we want to go down that route, right? Like, I really think,
Yeah.
that would be fun. But that's about all the time we have. Dude, we have to do another one. We talked 40 minutes about Cannon, and I was like, oh, shit. I thought it was going to be, liquor for stuff to talk about. That's dope, man. You are awesome. A part of the community. We appreciate all the work you've done. Couldn't be any cooler, dude. I really do appreciate this. And we gotta play some spell table games, brother. And we gotta definitely do another podcast for sure. Do you have anything you want to plug or anything?
Man, thank you for having me, first of all. Like, that's the first thing I want to get off my chest. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for reaching out. I am always happy to support the chat. Yes, I'm down to do another podcast. If you will have me again, I'm totally down. And this has been great. Clearly, it's easy to get lost in Magic in terms of just talking about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If I didn't have,
it just is.
Yeah. If I have my 2 kids by myself, my wife went to Tennessee. So if I didn't have them, I could talk to you for another hour easily, dude. I could talk. I don't care if 5 people listen to this. I'm having a great time. We're talking about Dan. I'm navigating flickering prime time. And if that were to happen,
bro,
that goes, hey, we're unbanning prime time. We're going on another podcast. Let's talk about
the second that is official, I'm doing it, bro. I'm with you.
All right. I'm holding you to it. It's on the internet forever. The internet is a forever void. It's never going anywhere. I'm going to hold you to it. The second they go, yep, prime time. Oh, Coalition Victor. Oh, that's cool. Whatever. I don't care about that. Flash Spawn. Oh, that's dope. Prime time. All right, come on, Iron.
Let's see. I feel you hear me just salivating I need to play that podcast. We're actually just gonna play 1v1, and I'm gonna be playing Brandon, and you can play whatever the fuck you want to play.
I want to play this bullshit ass fucking Leopold deck that's on your mock sphere. I'm playing that. I don't care what you play. I'm putting prime time in it. I'm taking out ad nods. Fuck all that.
Listen, okay, I know.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I know we're ending the podcast, but I do want to say one thing. I did brew Leovold.
I know. I see it, you piece of shit.
And the something that I realized late into the brew was if you do unban some of this stuff, this is future stuff. You can cut this out if you need to.
No, I'm leaving.
But if you unban Fast Spawn with access to Bolas of Citadel, you are allowed. You could play.
God.
You could play lands from the top of your deck, right?
Yeah, it's a 6 mana win the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So when that thought hit my head, I was like, oh wow, that's kind of nuts. Okay. Well, if we're doing that, then we actually need to rethink how I'm playing Leovold, because at first I was like, I just want wheels,
right,
and strip everyone's hand. And then I was like, oh man, I really want to play a lot of other cards. And then I was like, oh man, my brain exploded with experience. The thing I want to do with Leovold, if you play the deck, is I want to wheel someone's hand, cast Zur's Weirding, and pay 2 life so they.
Good card. I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it.
Yeah. And they never can play a spell again. That's it. That they get no more cards in hand ever again.
Yeah. Why is it prime time in this damn deck? What are you doing? We don't need ad nauseum. We have prime time. Prime time fast spawn. Come on. And it's over. Game's over.
The reason why prime time isn't in the deck is because we have fast spawn and we don't have more than 30 lands.
And do we need it at this point? Come on. Well, that's
it is just one more.
But no, definitely. This is so gross. It is. I think fast spawn's a broken magic card, but whatever. That's the whole other thing. I think you can unban prime time. The other ones we could talk about. But Leovold, if it wasn't legendary, I feel like if it was a creature, because there's 3 pips, it's probably not better than Ocean Thief, right? It's not instant, right? It's fine. But as a commander, this card should never see the light of day. You want to talk about draws in tournaments? It's going to be disgusting. You're going to have 2 Leovold decks in a windfall, and they're going to be like, GG's.
You are right. You are 1,000% correct. I didn't think about the mirror match.
It's a legendary creature. Yeah, I'm on a Tevish Crom. That's my main deck, right? And my backup, I'm Adnaz. My backup game plan, I'm on Narset, Notion Thief, and the 3 wheels. And that's literally Dockside into Windfall, Hold Priority, Notion Thief. I draw 17, everybody looks at me, and most of the time people scoop. I'm like, this is an ad nauseum. Like it's really good,
Yeah.
but it's fine because it's a 7-mana combo. In my fucking command zone, in my command zone, I can go turn 2 Evil, turn 3 Windfall. Are we gonna scoop here? Like, ugh.
Yeah. Are we done?
Good.
Are we done now? Are we
I'm
done?
good. Let's play another one.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like as you can see, this is an entire podcast.
Oh yeah. Sure. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the second they're like, hey, we're doing this, prime time is in the format, dude, let's do a deck tech. Let's find a deck besides Kennen that is like, fuck yeah, prime time, the secret commander. People are doing Nagila with Nadu as a secret commander. Nah, fuck that. I'm doing some crazy Savala shit with prime time. It's gonna be a great time. But all right, that is
absolutely.
That was it for us. I gotta go change some diapers and stuff. But you have anything you want to plug? I can put I can put your fishbowl in the if you go buy tickets.
Yeah. I guess
show notes.
I don't know when this is coming out, but Fishbowl San Diego is going to be a 300-person tournament. It will be registration for it will come out in October. I think October 15th is when our registration will be live. 300 people, February 22nd and 23rd. It will be a 10K largest CDH event. We might have to make it bigger than 300 people because I don't know.
Do it, baby.
As of now, it's 300 people. So because
oh my God,
it will.
Well, I'm shooting for 1,000 by 2030. Come on, let's go.
Oh my God. Well, that's not going to be San Diego.
Let's just geek out. Can you imagine 1,000 sweaty CDH players, and it's like a quarterly thing, like every 3 months? Like that's insane. This is crazy.
So many people.
Oh yeah, we got our 50K this weekend. Anybody want to go? Like what? I'm just playing Magic.
Listen. Someone approached me at Fishbowl 4. Was like, hey, let's talk. I want to have a 50K one day, and I was like, bro, those are big numbers. It's like I think I can make it happen. So hey, it may not be a 2030 thing. It can be a 2027 thing. Who knows?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just pull out the calculator. Let's just say $100 an entry, right?
Okay.
Times 1,000 people, right? I don't know if you're good at math. That's $100,000. So you got staff. So that could be a 50K. Staff, rental, yada yada, because you have to rent a fucking warehouse or an Amazon warehouse. Like
you'd have to rent for 1,000 people tournament. Yeah, you need a big mass.
Because right now for the CCS in Georgia, it's $70. So in 4 years, I'll pay $100 to win 50K in prizes. Like what? It's doable, guys. It's just we need 700 more people. Like that's the problem. But I agree with you. Once they start going crazy, maybe make CDH its own format and then its own ban list, and then that's a whole nother can of worms. We haven't even talked about that, dude.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Yeah,
but. All right, that is my time.
All right, man. But yeah, catch me on Play with Power. Thank you so much for your day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hire. I hate to cut you off, man. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for doing this. You rock. There's another episode, guys. Thanks for listening. Y'all have a good day. See ya.